fmtraining.tv. My name is Margaret. I'll be your broadcast engineer and also host Shenanigan Lady today. Hope you all are having a good day. It's good to see you all. We are still at full access here. Tomorrow will be interesting. I think we're gonna have a pre-recorded session tomorrow, actually, which will be a Ryan McCann Q&A. It's also currently happening concurrently at the moment. The attendees here get to interview and ask him some questions, which is really awesome. And RC is busy hosting that one, which is fun, which is why you just got me today. You got me and the wonderful Sam Barnum. Sam Barnum is part of 360Works. He's one of the owners of I think you're a co-owner of 60Works with Jesse,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay, I'm making sure I got my information correctly. Jesse will occasionally haunt us. We've not had Sam on, I think, ever, actually, but it's really cool to have you on for the first time. I have known Sam for forever. I remember meeting him when I was first a kid and menacing him at a dinner, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, where I annoyed him with all of my stories. But seriously, he's fantastic. He's got a really good topic for us today. But with that all being said, I think we're pretty good. Uh, Sam, do you want to tell me what we're doing today? Like, share your screen and then explain to me what adventures are currently in progress. What are we talking about?
Yeah. So Jesse and I came here to this conference. He flew to San Francisco. We drove down and we're having a great time. And there were just some open slots. And he asked me if I felt like presenting. So I'm like, well, I've been working on this uh, fmPromise tool that we have. It's not a product. It's free. And thought, yeah, that'll be fun to show off. It's not. It didn't feel finished at the time, so I'm like, yeah, let's do it, and did a lot of last minute improvements and fixes, and almost getting it done, and then demoed that yesterday. And it's basically a tool to make it easier to use WebViewers and FileMaker.
Okay, so that's going to be a really hot topic and a hot tool because I just had some people talk to me about like, oh, I really want to use WebViewers more in FileMaker and like really tap into using WebViewers for stuff. Can you have a session on that? So you slid in magically at the last minute.
Yeah,
Okay, so how does fmPromise make my life easier with WebViewers and FileMaker?
it makes it easier to package your to develop it and see it change in real time. You get to use an IDE for development, and you're not really constrained in terms of how many dependencies or files you use. You don't have to build it as a single file, and you can preview it in FileMaker while you're building it. And when you're done building it, you can then concatenate it all into a single file, store it in a text field, and deploy it that way. So that's kind of the deployment aspect. And then there's the interop aspect where there's an fmPromise JavaScript library that you include on your page. You use that to talk to FileMaker and call scripts and evaluate calculations and execute the SQL statements in FileMaker, as well as call the data API. And if you don't want to write your own scripts, you can still do an awful lot with just fmPromise the library and getting all the information from FileMaker into the web viewer, and then handling user interactions in the web viewer, pushing that back to FileMaker.
Okay, that's really cool. What would be like an example use case that you could toss at me?
Um, we built a calendar view, which is really hard to do in FileMaker. Seed code calendar was there, and
Yeah.
it's a great product, and it's a lot of setup. With this, you drag your web viewer in, you build a calendar, and then you would have your JavaScript reach out to your FileMaker solution
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, give me the events on this month that I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
at, populate the calendar, and then you click on an event in the calendar and call a script in FileMaker to open a new window
Mm-hmm.
showing the details of that event. So
Yes.
that's a great example. Let FileMaker do the stuff it's good at, and then use the web for the stuff that's good at, and you don't have to worry a lot about the barriers between those two, because it really feels like you're just calling a script from your JavaScript, and you await a response from the script call, and then you have all the data you want.
Okay, that's really cool. And like, how easy would you say would be to integrate this into like a existing FileMaker file? Like, is it like a drag and drop add-on kind of thing, or
It is packaged as an add-on, yeah.
okay?
I just published a new version of that today, and so there may be issues. Let me know if you have any problems getting it or using it. But yeah, it's an add-on. You install the add-on, you restart FileMaker, and then you install the add-on on your solution, and then
Mm-hmm.
that adds some scripts and some custom calcs and two tables.
Mm-hmm.
Those tables are used to store the HTML when you do deploy it, and then you can just drag an fmPromise add-on to your layout. That puts a web viewer on with a few other buttons, and an important other step is that there is a local development server that you use. So
Okay.
that development server is for you to drive the web viewer content while you're doing development. So
Okay.
because you don't want to make changes by typing HTML into
Mm-hmm.
a FileMaker text field, you want to use an IDE like
Mm-hmm.
VS Code or Cursor or IntelliJ.
Real
And
quick, what
mhm.
is an IDE? Just
And
so.
an IDE is an integrated development environment,
Okay.
and it's it's like a more powerful text editor for specifically for code. It knows all about the code, the autocomplete, and yeah, lots of development tools and managing dependencies and so on.
Got it. Okay, cool. So how would you go around setting up your own like web development server hard or like
No, it's an npm package. And npm is has become the de facto way to manage JavaScript dependencies. You use the command line command called npm, which you have to install. But once you have it, you can install a whole universe of other libraries that people have written, like open source things. You type npm install at 360Works/fmPromise in a new directory, and then that sets up your local development project. And that local project is where you're going to store your source code for the HTML and JavaScript and CSS. And fmPromise has two modes of operation: development mode and
hmm
production mode. So while you're in development mode, it um, talks to a sort of server process running in that directory that knows how to look at the source code that you have and assemble that into a single file and show that in a web viewer. And it also knows how to package that and minify that for when you're ready to deploy that. And minifying is where you take the JavaScript and you 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 rename things and you shrink it and you remove all the white space and you end up with as small a possible of a uh, payload to store that you can
Okay.
serve up.
Nice. Okay, that's really cool. So for the production mode, I assume that when you host this on the server that this would all be taken care of server side so people wouldn't have to worry about it when they're actually
Yeah, you don't need the add-on installed for anybody but the person doing development.
got it.
And then once it's there, the your HTML like content lives in the fmPromise module table that got added, and that gets served up to the web viewer.
Okay, that's really cool. Would you like to show us some shenanigans that I am now
Yeah,
looking
let's
at
do
on
it.
your screen now that we've talked over the initial intro?
Let's do that. This is the sample file that Jesse and I were using for our presentation yesterday, and roller coasters have come up a few times at full access. Either uh, our friend who turns out built theme parks for amusement parks, and also Todd Weller, who is a roller coaster enthusiast, and he was building a database of all the roller coasters he's been and ranking them by speed, which is the primary
The
sort order
primary
there.
mode of enjoyment? Okay.
Yeah. And we talked about a calendar being a nice use case, but also something like drag and drop. It's
Yes.
very hard to do in FileMaker. It's not easy in a web viewer, but you can get an LLM to build it for you in a web viewer. So that's what we did for our
Ooh.
presentation. Um, and uh, we might get to that, but for now, let me just show you what 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 we're looking at. So we've got a
Yes.
project, and each project has tasks that need to get done.
hmm
Um, and there's three project records, and they all each have their own set of tasks. And the story is that if the client decided they want to order these in some arbitrary fashion. So
Yeah.
we've added a sort order field and we've populated it with serial numbers. So right now they're ordered by creation order, but we want a way to adjust the order. And
Okay.
without a web viewer, you probably would build like up and down arrows to move this thing up or down one slot.
And then you'd have to adjust the numbers of the sort order in the process in a script. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
hmm
yeah. So that's possible, but it's not that fun. and it's a little clunky if you're doing a lot of it.
Yes.
So I'm just going to run through, and I'll make a new version of this layout, which is a FileMaker portal layout,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll build a blank layout called sorting. We'll call it drag drop.
Yes. I love starting blank because I give everyone like an idea of how to do it themselves,
We'll make it even
step
more
by
blank.
step.
I'll delete the top nav. Um, I'm going to install the fmPromise add-on. Uh, so that's that, and actually that created our tables. Uh, it had no regard for putting it right over our old ones, but there you go.
But the relationship exists.
Yeah,
Yes.
so modules and fmPromise module, fmPromise WebViewer. Every time you drag something in, it's going to create something in the WebViewer. Um, and it's a too many because you can have multiple WebViewers using the same underlying source code. You don't have to duplicate that. So let's drag this over. And so now this put a WebViewer on our layout. I think I'll shrink this layout to the size of our WebViewer. So, and it should
That
grow.
means that the web viewer should naturally grow with the layout, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And now if I go to browse mode, I might need to set anchors on this. There we go.
Ah, there you go.
Oh, and this. And let's do these two. Okay, so these buttons, these three buttons here that I'm doing this,
Mm-hmm.
you'll notice are not visible. They're only visible when we're in dev mode in fmPromise.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so when you're in production mode, users don't see that. Uh, but we do see a message here. You've and I should point out also that I've already started the local dev server. I've run npm install 360Works
You've done all
fmPromise.
that initial, yeah.
I've done that, and I've run a command npx run fmPromise dev, and
Okay.
that I'll show you real quick. That's
Yes.
running here. I'll just stop it and do it again. npx fmPromise dev.
Mm-hmm.
It says the server started. It's watching for files in projects full access 2025 RCC SRC, which is the source directory where things are going to go. All right, and now it says you're going to want to create a fmPromise module, give it a name. So we'll call it drag drop.
Drag drop. There we go. Everyone loves some drag drop. Scaffolding complete. Created 4 files. Okay.
Yeah, and so scaffolding is just saying like it puts some stuff in there, so there's something there um, for you to look at. And it also turned on fmPromise dev mode because that's important so that we see the content that just got created in our
Mm-hmm.
local file system that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't even exist yet in the database because we haven't packaged it.
Okay.
Uh, okay, so here we go. Hello, Sam Barnum. This was scaffolded. And if we look at my IDE, which is IntelliJ, again,
Mm-hmm.
development environment for HTML, Java, JavaScript, whatever source code that you're editing,
Mm-hmm.
you would do that here. And here's our drag drop directory, and we have 3 files in there. We have an HTML, which is pretty small, and it just has this loading message in a div. We have our style, which pretty much is just setting a font here. But you'll notice it's in a separate file from the HTML.
Yes.
And we have our TypeScript file. TypeScript is like a superset of JavaScript that has nicer support for being strict about the types of the variables.
Ooh,
Like
okay.
in, um, JavaScript is loosely typed. FileMaker is loosely typed.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a number and then treat it as a date, or you can put
Yes.
a date in a number field, and it's all like, oh, sure. TypeScript is not that way. TypeScript is like you'll see a lot of red lines. Um,
That is an illegal move and it is not allowed. Okay,
yeah,
got
yeah.
it.
And so the TypeScript is interesting. I'm gonna bring this over here so that side by side we can uh, we can look at FileMaker on the left. We can look at our source code on the right. And what this thing is doing is it's loading that div that we had that said loading, and then it's setting the text content to fetching FileMaker data. This all happens very, very quickly. You're not gonna, if I refresh this, you can just barely see it. It says fetching FileMaker data, but instantly it calls evaluate and then get username. and this probably looks familiar because this is a FileMaker calculation. This
Yes.
is a get function.
Okay.
And we're using fmPromise.evaluate, and we're passing it a calculation, and it's just like pasting this into the data viewer to say, like, run this, you get a result. Except in this case, we're calling it from the JavaScript, and we get the result back, which is nice because
That's really cool because then you can use get functions that you're very familiar with, like right
yeah,
out the gate. So
yeah.
you know what to expect. Okay, cool.
And without fmPromise, you
Hmm.
can call script, you can call FileMaker scripts from your JavaScript, but it's a one-way street. You just call the script and then you don't get anything back.
Okay.
Um, with this, you get the result of that script, or if you call a script, uh, and
Well, if you call a script, I assume you type in the script name.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Uh, we'll get to that in a
Yeah,
sec.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But in this, just to show you how this works, we get the username, and then we set the HTML of our div, which currently says fetching FileMaker data. We get that, and then we set the username to some HTML, which says hello, placeholder username. This module was scaffolded, and that's what you see over here. And what's really cool is if I change this TypeScript, this here thing, and if I save it, um, we say FileMaker knows this was changed, and this was modified on disk in dev mode. Don't forget to package this when you're done making all your changes. Do you want to package this module now? And I'll say no, and we say no, so it reloads, and it knows this has been changed, so it's not going to keep hassling me about that. I think, hopefully. Um, yeah, so now I can change my HTML, my source code, and I can just delete that line and save it.
And it's lot. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then if once we're done and we're happy, we would come over here and we would package this. Right now it's not very exciting, but we package this, and then where does that go? It goes into this fmPromise module table that was created. And it puts our source code in here.
Ooh, okay.
And it's all in one file. So this is our HTML, this is our CSS, our TypeScript, and it's fmPromise because up here we imported fmPromise from some external library
Hmm.
that we installed via npm, and it knows how to reach out to any other dependencies and just stick it all into one HTML because we need to store everything in this HTML file.
And that's really cool. And then whenever the web viewer loads, it's going to pull from this field right here with all the information in it, I
It's going
assume.
to pull from not this field, but this field.
There.
This is
Okay.
the minified one.
Ah.
So it's less fun to read, but it's more fun to serve up because it's very fast. Uh,
Yeah.
so you can see, I don't know the exact difference, but like this is several
Substantially
pages
longer.
of
Yeah.
stuff, and the minified is pretty much fits
Oof.
on one
Yeah.
and a half pages of this stuff. So yeah, so it takes care of all this for you, all the packaging and yeah, optimizing, and yeah, then you can just get to work on writing HTML and doing your stuff. So, and any yeah, jump in with any questions or suggestions or anything.
No, I think we're good.
All right.
So people are talking. So
Okay,
they're
great.
interested. So
So now let's play around with it a little bit before we go
yes.
drag it out. Let's see what else we can do. Instead of get username, if this is like a production system and people logging in with their own accounts, you might want get account name.
Yeah.
I'm logged in as admin, so that's not
There you
very exciting.
go.
Um, we can say like get file name. Uh,
That's really cool that you can just go ahead and type the file make. Ah, nice.
yeah, so this is all using evaluate, and this is really just like any FileMaker function. Um, uh, and then let's do one more. Let's say looking at the uh, name project. Oh, I think I got that wrong. Are we on the project?
Is it on projects table? What table is?
Yeah, I probably have a syntax error here. I'm just going to simplify here. Name. Okay, Whimsical Waterway Boats is our project name.
Okay.
And so if I scroll around to these other things,
It'll automatically swap.
yeah,
There you
it
go.
reloads the content in the web viewer, and it's it's not doing much, but it's quick. And
Hmm.
because uh, we're waiting for the web viewer to reach out to FileMaker and get the data. Nothing's going to block FileMaker, which, is single threaded. Um, one approach a lot of people take is they have like an HTML template with sort of a placeholder that says like JSON data goes here. They load it and then they call replace on that, and then they put some JSON payload from FileMaker into that. Then they turn around and they build a data URL out of that. And every time you some of these files get very big. This is a very simple example, but sometimes
Yeah.
people build these things out of React or something, and there's several megabytes of text. And when you do replace operations and concatenate on several megabytes of text, it's not super fast.
It begins chewing. It takes its sweet time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if you wanted something that users see for every record and they're scrolling through records quickly, that can start to feel pretty a little jagged of user
Yeah.
interface and responsiveness.
Out of
Um,
curiosity, how would this handle a list view? I don't know why you would list view this, but
yeah, let's
I'm
let's
nosy.
that's a great question. Let's get a list of our there's only three things, but
Mm-hmm.
each project has multiple tasks.
Mm-hmm.
So
You want to look at a list view of tasks then?
yeah, let's now okay, so one web viewer per record, you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. That brings me back to super container days. We did super container. That's kind of our first web viewer thing,
Yes.
and showing a list view of super container things, each loading an image. Um, it and it worked great, and it didn't have to block while they were loading because each web viewer has its own, you know, thread or
Mm-hmm.
set of threads.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's look at the task. Let's try to create a list view. That's a good task
Not to
list.
send you on a side quest, but
Yeah, love it. All right. We'll bring our FileMaker field over. Well, let's make it bigger. It's going to be kind of a big task list. Uh, not quite. Okay. I got to put a line here.
the distinguishing line. Yes, there we
Okay.
go.
So here's our list view without fmPromise.
Mm-hmm.
Let's add an fmPromise element here. And it's a little too big, so we'll need to,
Squish.
all right. And this will be interesting actually, because we're going to get a message for each one of these. Oh, okay. So it shows this for the last one. Let's call it list example. So create this module. We've created a list example. And if I go back to my IDE and I look at the project structure and refresh it,
Mm-hmm.
here's list example.
There we go.
Um, in this case, this is very much uncharted territory because you got multiple things on a single page calling
Mm-hmm.
FileMaker scripts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it might end badly here for our demo, but
I'm sorry,
I
I
like
didn't
it.
mean
I
to
like it.
immediately.
Uh, so this is a task has a title. Let's just try and get the title. Task title. We refresh. We're not going to package it now. So it looks to me like it's doing the last one. Um, I'm going to simplify this even more and say I will. I'm going to rename this task title. We'll bring this up here, and then we will just set it to the task title. All right, and we don't need that stuff. All right, so this is about as simple as we're going to get.
Yeah.
Um, we import fmPromise. We get our div that's going to hold the content. We
Mm-hmm.
get the content. We put the content in the div. I'm going to
Got
load
it.
this. And so at this point, I think if I go to layout mode and browse mode, okay, we get a bunch of loading messages. So
It might not load until the record's in focus, I'm assuming. Like if you put the record in focus, will that fix it?
yeah. Oh, well, yeah, actually it depends. Each one of these is going to evaluate it based on the current context of FileMaker. So we've got 5 records, but only one context.
Got it.
And the context is apparently this one that we had focused.
Oh, so it's a bit like the portal issue where you'll have if you don't have a portal row showing, it'll only show you the first record related to that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so to answer your question, this is not a great idea. So yeah, everything I've used this for has been like go to a detail view and have like
That
a
makes more
calendar
sense, to be
view.
honest. I don't know what you would do with a list view of web viewers. I was just nosing and I was like, oh,
So it would work if you didn't try to call scripts or if you um, deferred that. So let's change this to be like uh, this is a task. And now uh, it says this is a task for everything. I'm going to put this in a function. So a JavaScript function, TypeScript function, um, it needs to be an async because we're calling await. And so now it's not going to do anything. And we see this is a task for everything. And if we had a click handler on this, then it would be on the right context. It would be on that record. I'm not going to build it. Jesse's already annoyed with me for going this far into the weeds with you, but I enjoy it, which means I'm going to build it.
no, I
A,
feel like we're terrible. Like RC and Jesse like want to like accomplish certain things. And I'm like, oh, but I like meandering through FileMaker adventures.
so this is our load task element, and uh, okay. And this is TypeScript being fussy because it's like maybe there
Hmm.
is no load name element,
Hmm.
in which case this would be undefined. So
Got
object
it.
is possibly null, but I know it's not going to be null, so I'm going to put an exclamation point there.
Got it. Okay.
Um, and then we have a lot of errors because we've got all our web viewers.
The
Uh,
web viewers are squawking.
and I'm going to take a look at this. Oh, you know what? It didn't like it. It's because I spelled it wrong, I think. Load task, and I said load name. All right, there we go. So I click on this. This is task
Hmm.
and nothing. All right, let's go. Let's go. That's enough of that.
Yes,
That's enough list view.
let's go back to the really cool thing you were going to show before I derailed you entirely.
Um, let me show you actually a few other things that you can do out of the box with
Hmm. I
fmPromise.
would love to see that,
We might not
legitimately.
get to the full drag drop demo, but
Well, we can just kidnap you at a later date.
yeah, I'd love to go deeper on this. So we've been using evaluate
Hmm.
exclusively,
Hmm.
but if you look at the functions, we what you can
You've
call from
got a
fmPromise,
stack.
perform script,
Yeah.
execute FileMaker data API, execute FileMaker data API records, which takes sort of a very deeply nested JSON structure that FileMaker returns and converts it into just an array of objects that you can use.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, it makes it really easy because that's what almost everything in JavaScript is expecting is just an array of
Hmm.
objects. And we will inline the portal stuff in there and all that. Execute SQL is pretty cool. Um, let me just show you this real quick. Select star from task. So here's our SQL result.
Woo, that's
Um,
nice.
and actually, if we stringify that, you can tell it's actually an array of arrays. So it takes care of parsing it out into instead of just a string, it's actually getting the putting the right delimiters in. In this case, it uses a random number that changes each time you execute a query, and then it splits the rows and splits the columns. Uh, and
That's nice. Then you can promptly use that information how you want.
yeah, and a couple times here you've seen me do the inspect element. That's there's a special command you need to run from the terminal to enable that, but once you do, it's really pretty handy. Uh, and actually, then you can do stuff just in a JavaScript console by like trying out fmPromise execute SQL. Wait, and here's our SQL result. It returned 42 rows, each of which has, 6 columns. So these are our tasks, and obviously it's super quick. Um, and then I think there's a few other things here of like insert from URL, set field by name. So if you just have a widget that you want like a slider, and when somebody changes the slider, you want to set a field name, you might not want to bother creating a script. You can just set it by name. Show customer dialog is another one that
Ooh, that's really nice.
yeah. And so another thing that was fun to demo was LLM integration, like essentially vibe coding this thing.
Yes.
Um, so if you want, let's see, let's do the data API, execute data API records. And so let's build the drag and drop sorting. Everything's gone so great so far.
Look, it's my fault. I immediately
Nah,
derailed you off
I
into the
took the bait.
magical
I took the
weeds.
bait. Uh, So we'll use the data API. Anyone who's used it, this is the same JSON that you pass in, except we're going
Mm-hmm.
to get a cleaner result.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to read from the task layout, and we're going to query it where the project ID, no, we need an object. We need an array of objects. And again, you see the red lines I'm getting. If I just put in a string
Yeah.
here, I know something's wrong because type string is not assignable to a record
Mm-hmm.
array. So your IDE helps a lot. Project ID I happen to know the project ID of this, I think, is proj 003. Let me just save that.
You work with it
Uh,
long enough, you'd be memorizing all the numbers.
and so yeah, this is our data API result. And again, if we inspect it, you can see that what we actually got back from FileMaker was a whole bunch, a deeply nested thing of like messages, response, data info, data, field data, portal data, mod ID, and instead we just put that into an array of objects, which is a little hard to see here. Uh, Actually, I can log it. I'm going to rename this to task or tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And if we log the tasks, here's what we got. Just an array of objects. So this is going to drive uh, our drag and drop sorting thing.
Okay.
Um,
So explain how real fast.
we need to get the data from FileMaker, and this is how we do it. And I glossed right now the ID is hard coded. We're fetching, but a good way to get that would be to evaluate the ID. Project ID equals await, and then we wouldn't hard code it. We would say project ID is project ID. Oh, and we would also need to sort it, right? Sort order. Uh, Field name, sort by field name, sort order. Okay, so that worked. And now if we scroll back and forth, the things are changing. The tasks are changing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the data we need to show. We're gonna build an HTML list with all the tasks of the current project we're looking at,
Okay.
and then we're gonna add JavaScript capability to that to support
So
drag and
then you
drop.
can promptly move those around.
Yeah,
Ah, that's cool.
and then when you drop something after dragging it,
It'll automatically add it to the HTML list.
we we will put it in the HTML, but then we'll need to write it back. We'll need to call something in FileMaker to change the sort order in the field.
Ooh, okay.
And
That.
that's yeah, that's the whole process. I'm going to copy this, and I pre-wrote a prompt here. I'm gonna
Woo, yes.
this is a mess here, so I'm gonna
You gonna stop sharing?
just for
Okay.
a moment. All right. So in the course of demoing this several times, I ended
Mm-hmm.
up trying a bunch of different prompts and refining the prompt. I'm going to paste this prompt into Google Gemini.
Okay.
Um,
Is that the one that you end up usually use? I know people tend to like pick AIs that they like working with.
I like Gemini. I like the really big context window. And at
Mm-hmm.
this point, I'm just kind of used to it.
There you go.
Um,
You pick one, then you get used to it. You're like, why
so
bother?
let's look at our prompt real quick.
Okay.
We're asking it to build us an HTML
Mm-hmm.
mini app, essentially. So build a TypeScript module which allows drag and drop sorting of list items. The list is generated from a JSON array of objects showing only the name of the task. The HTML already contains this div. Div ID equals app loading. I need you to write the TypeScript code. And then I gave it our uh, scaffolded code
Okay.
just so it knows.
What it's putting it inside?
Yeah, and I find the more you can give to the LLM about how things look or stuff you've already written, the happier you'll be with the results. If you
Because
like,
it knows what to do or work with. Yeah.
yeah, if you like what you write. Uh, so I think most of us do. Um,
Well, on some level, you have to like it. You might not like it in a couple years, but at the time you're writing it, you should be pretty proud of yourself.
yeah, and naming conventions and just sort of idioms and stuff that you follow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sometimes LLMs like to just recreate React from nothing. I said don't use a render method
Mm-hmm.
because that's when they get all Reacty. Don't create mock data. We already have mock data. If you need CSS, put that in a separate file, uh, just because we support it and it's nicer that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Here's an example of the task data JSON payload. This is I just copied and pasted this from our result in the browser.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Okay.
so it knows the names of the fields and the types of data we're
Got it.
dealing with.
Okay, that's nice. Got it.
I asked it also to define a TypeScript interface for this task. This is esoteric. I'm going to skip that. But when a task is dropped in a new location, call an async placeholder JavaScript method called setSortOrder with two parameters. The task record ID, which we need to know to identify the task,
Yes.
and the new sort order, which is the average of the sort order before and after the new location.
Got it. Okay.
Because the sort order is numeric and it's never visible to the user, we can just average those values and find a number in between the ones it's supposed to be in.
Interesting. Okay. I did not realize that. Well, yeah, it makes sense if the viewer never uses it, you don't have to have it be
Yeah,
specific.
the nice thing about that is you don't have to change any records except the one being moved, right? You don't have
That's
to like
nice.
do a
Yeah.
replace on everything. Um, and it says I'll implement the set order function body. If update sort order throws an exception, revert that task item to its prior position in the list.
Uh,
All right.
someone someone asked the extension .ts is TypeScript, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Our, while I was drinking water, the LLM finished its thing.
yeah. Also
It's
convenient.
yeah, yeah. The all right. So here's our cheerful LLM, full of assurance that it wrote perfect code.
Yes, I did it beautifully. Aren't you proud of me? Yes.
So here's our main TypeScript. We'll just glance at it. It made this interface as requested, so that looks good. Um, it created our set sort order function, which is not implemented, but it's there. It's going to call it,
Hmm.
and then it's full of comments to say like this is all this. The rest of this is going to be less interesting, but it says fetching the tasks. It fetches the tasks using the code that we gave it. It left that in place, and it does a lot of stuff. It adds drag listeners here. So when you start to drag and when you finish the drag, when you actually drop the event, um, it attempts to save it in a try catch. So if it fails, it does this and it's supposed to revert it to where it was before. And so yeah, let's paste
This
this
is
in.
cool. It's also really awesome. It can just do this for you if you give it a good enough prompt. You don't have to do it yourself. Well, you
Yeah.
have to bug fix it if it has a moment, but
hmm hmm Oh, and here's our CSS. So I'm gonna I'm gonna leave the body alone because we already have a body, but we're
hmm.
gonna need this stuff. So sortable lists, just some CSS to make it look nicer while you're doing it. All right, so let's see what we have. If I go back to FileMaker and I save changes here, ta-da! This is our HTML.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Smoking fast.
Um, and let's see if we can drag stuff. Take this and bring it down there. So it looks like it's working pretty well.
It's beautiful, honestly.
We'll like sort of audio excavations show. So yeah, this
That's
looks good.
awesome. Okay.
The one downside is this is not being saved.
No, that's say like how would you put this back into a FileMaker record?
Yeah. So you can tell it's not being saved. If I refresh the web viewer, everything goes back to where it started.
Yeah,
And move
okay.
boat here, refresh. So right. So we just need to write that sort order field for the thing that got dropped. And
Okay.
we know exactly where to do that. We just do that here in our TypeScript. I'm going to close these other ones that are confusing. In this set sort order function. There's a couple of ways we could do this. We could call a script.
Mm-hmm.
We could do that set field by name. We'd have to switch the layout, but I think the data API is a really cool way to make changes to a record that may not be on the current layout that you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at. So we'll use fmPromise, execute data API, and again, we get our autocomplete with our IDE to tell us what sorts of parameters we need. So our action, instead of read, is going to be update. We always need a layout, plural for some reason, task. Uh, we are going to want that record ID that we got, which is just the record ID. And then we're going to want field data. And we're going to set the sort order to the new sort order parameter that we received in our function. And then why is this line here? Because we're not awaiting the call. So we'll await it. And there we go. This might work. I saved it. It reloaded here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll move boat down under show. We got showboat. And if all is
Showboat.
well, when I refresh, it will remain there. There we go.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. That's really cool, actually.
So yeah, this is a like a big deal. And now we've got this cool feature that the client's gonna love.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it pretty quickly. And
And
it's
it's saved all on the FileMaker end of things, so everything's kept in storage and has a very pretty thing that you can interact with. Like you said, you can do drag and drop, and people are really used to drag and drop. The fact that it's not a baseline in FileMaker, I'm sure, is often a sticking point with customers and developers because they're like, "Oh, I just want to drop the thing in there," and you're like, "Eh,
yeah, yeah,
can't do that." Except now you can with WebViewers and general 360Works awesomeness.
yeah. So one thing I like to do, I'm gonna clean up the user interface a little. I'll take that
Yes.
header out, but we've got the FileMaker view on the right, and we've
Mm-hmm.
got the web viewer on the left. And if we bring something over here, you see it change immediately on the FileMaker side.
Yes.
So FileMaker knows about the changes, and we can refresh, and it still is there in the right order.
And you can
Um,
see it doing that averaging in the number itself. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, so these numbers get a little weird, but that's fine. We're not going to show those to the user.
They don't need to see it as long as the math checks out.
Yeah, and you can see we can page back and forth between these projects, and it's quite fast.
That's really awesome. Actually, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right.
hold on, I have like, so yeah, people are agreeing this is very cool. Uh,
Oh, and the other thing we shouldn't forget to do is
yes.
once we're happy with it, click the package button.
Okay, yes.
So I'll do that, and then it'll put that in our text field, and
Mm-hmm.
then at that point, other users, this may be on a live production system.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would have seen our in-between stuff, but once we hit package, people will now see it.
That's awesome. Okay, that's really cool, actually. So where do I go download this?
Uh, we've got a placeholder page at 360works.com/fmpromise that links to the GitHub page right now, which has another link to the store. Again, this I really have been
This has
focusing the
been created
presentation.
while we're here. Yes.
Yeah, so we'll make that look better, but yeah,
No,
try that out.
absolutely. No, Sam has been working on this while he's been here at the conference. So, uh, it's still in the like getting it to actually out to people is in progress. But this is very cool. Like legit, this is awesome. I could think of all sorts of really cool things you could do with this. Especially because like I said, WebViewer has stuff that you just can't do with web pages have natural UI elements that simply aren't in FileMaker.
Yeah, yeah.
So
A good
that's
example is a slider, and if we make a new
mm-hmm.
slider layout, here's a good example of make a slider module,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can go here. There it is. And we can just get rid of just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need, let's take out the TypeScript and just say like input type equals range. And there's our slider.
Yes, that was so easy. Do you know how long that would take to code anything that even look like that? Well, you do, of course, you know how long that would take to code in FileMaker.
Let me show you one other cool thing about this slider is
Yeah.
if we do package this
Mm-hmm.
and we look at our fmPromise module,
Mm-hmm.
this is our drag drop. This is our list example,
Mm-hmm.
ill-fated list example. We will delete the list example. And here's our slider. Look how
Uh-huh.
small this is.
Ooh,
Um,
that's tiny, tiny, tiny,
and
tiny.
actually, what's let's delete. So I didn't delete our TypeScript file. It's still there, but it's not referenced by our index.html. So
Okay.
fmPromise only gets the stuff that it needs. It's not like it's packaging everything in a directory. It's tracing through this thing.
To figure out exactly what it actually needs and not all the
Yeah.
extra ma okay, that's really
So
nice.
if I delete this reference to the CSS and I
Mm-hmm.
save it and I package this again, it gets even
Ooh,
smaller. Um,
that's nice. That's really nice, actually. What does it even look minified? Can it be any smaller than that?
Not really.
It didn't just say. I don't think that can get any smaller. Yeah, okay.
And the minification doesn't work if you inline a style into your HTML.
Ooh,
It knows
okay.
how to minify a linked JavaScript file or a linked
Mm-hmm.
CSS file, which is a good reason to put those in separate files.
Got it. Okay. Good to know. Didn't know that detail.
Now, we probably would want some sort of TypeScript in here at some point uh, because we'd want to fire some event when the slider changes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes.
and
How
then
would
that
I?
could set a field in FileMaker to whatever the value is that you
You,
choose.
you, you needed to what it be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you'd also want to load the field value when the page loads and position the slider in the right spot, or else it's always going to start halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that actually brings up another good advantage of fmPromise, which is by default, when you put a web viewer on a layout and you load it, FileMaker loads your HTML, and then a few milliseconds later, or 10 or 100 later, it puts a FileMaker object on that window that then JavaScript running in that web viewer can use to call scripts. But it's not there right away, right?
Ooh. Okay.
So that means if you want your page to get something as soon as it loads, you have to kind of guess when to do, just wait for that to show
Mm-hmm.
up. fmPromise takes care of that. And the second that it's available, it calls any scripts that may be waiting for that thing.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice, actually. So.
And
It takes all that. It takes all that. Like you don't. It removes the things that you have to worry about because when you begin juggling all these different languages or what have you, you begin to worry about increasingly more spinning objects. So the more that I have to worry less about spinning objects, the happier I am as a FileMaker developer.
yeah,
Yeah, people are like going like, how do I download? Yeah, okay, nice. So I'm looking at fmPromise's website and I'm wondering which product on the page would do this. Or sorry, did I just hear it's on Git? And there's a link to the Git page on the 360 Promise page, correct?
360Works.com fmPromise. Yeah.
Yes. Is there anything else you'd like to show us of the awesomeness that you've got, Sam?
No, I think that's a good taster.
I think
I'm
that's a really
excited
good
to see what
taster.
people do with this. And
Yes.
if you do something and you like it, just I'd love to see it. I don't want to only see the bugs. Uh,
Yes, if you make something nice, send Sam an email and let him know how awesome it is. So
And
that
also,
way,
like, yeah, suggestions on how to improve it are very welcome.
yes,
And
absolutely. No, that makes perfect sense. Thank you for coming on.
Mhm.
Sam did this very last minute. Me and Richard like cornered him at some point earlier in the thing and was like, "Hey, can you come on and talk about this with us?" So thank you very much for doing that. It's been awesome having you on. It's been awesome having you present. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm gonna wrap this up and set us all free. Seriously, thank you
Thank
very
you, Margaret.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.